we can offer to people and let each of the searchers decide for themselves which is of interest to them. And as I said before, trying to adapt these algorithms to work well on an individual basis so that we deliver that which is most relevant to a particular party is a very important part of our philosophy. And if Google remains a very popular search engine, I think it will be because it was trying to be relevant to individuals as opposed to trying to assert that it has somehow discovered the truth.
Our company's motto, if we have one, I would say, is don't be evil. It's actually a good story. When we were small, we were mostly engineers. All the employees were engineers. When we hired our first business people, some of the engineers were really concerned about would that change the way we did business, and also would it change the types of products we built. And so there was an engineer named Amit who has very neat, tidy handwriting that I refer to as Vint Cerf, and that's his last name. And he decided that he would go and leave a note on the board for the business people because he knew they had a business meeting where they were going to be trying to sell some of Google's products. So unbeknownst to the business people, he wrote in the lower corner of the whiteboard, "Don't be evil." So in the middle of the meeting, the business people spotted it and realized it was a note from Amit about how he wanted them to conduct the meetings. And it just sort of stuck from that.
How does that motto have a bearing on, let's say, the culture of the company?
I think that it means that we feel that we can make money and have a successful business without sacrificing our ethics or our principles or the interests of our users.
Google is inmiddels de meest gebruikte zoekmachine ter wereld, met een marktaandeel van bijna 60%.
I'm working on machine translation, where then so the goal is to translate from one human language into another human language. If right now you have you want to find out something, and you type a query in Google. And you might not find the answer just because in those languages in which you perform a search and in which you can perform a search, there is just not the answers there. But there might be a Chinese web page which has exactly the thing you're looking for. Right now, you wouldn't find it. And so in order to provide basically access to information that everybody in China can access the English web and the German web, the French web, the Dutch web, all those texts which otherwise are just behind a wall. We can significantly improve over the existing state of the art by learning from large amounts of existing translations. For example, European Union has large amounts of texts which are in all official European Union languages. United Nations have texts which are in all the official United Nations languages. So it is that the computer learns basically those rules automatically from large amounts of data.
That's the reason why you chose to be here? Or?
Right. That's one of the reasons why I chose to be here, because here for this kind of research, it's a place where you have both the computational resources to be able to use large amounts of data, and you have the large amounts of data to train those systems. Okay. And you have it's basically part of the core mission of Google to organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful, and so machine translation is here an essential goal. So it's just perfect.
Yeah. Google kan steeds meer diensten aanbieden doordat het over enorme databestanden beschikt. En hoe meer data Google heeft, des te hoger de kwaliteit van die toepassingen. Maar diezelfde data bevatten ook alle informatie over het zoekgedrag van Google's gebruikers. De vraag is wat dat betekent voor hun privacy. Ian Brown is woordvoerder van The Open Rights Group, een Britse organisatie die zich richt op de bescherming van privé-informatie in het digitale tijdperk.
I think Google's aim to make all of the public information in the world available is admirable, and I certainly use it many times a day myself. A lot of people on the internet do. I think they need to be much more careful about personal information. You know, I don't want all of my personal information made available to the UK government, for example, and that's why increasingly I am careful about how I use Google, and I certainly wouldn't use services like Google Mail, where they are storing a lot of sensitive information in my email messages, and I think I'm increasingly concerned about searching for sensitive information using Google.
Are you?
Because I wouldn't want, a lifelong record in Google's vast database of, say, when I was younger, if I'd been interested in sexually transmitted diseases, which a lot of university students are, for example, that isn't something you necessarily want to live with you for the rest of your life.
How are you going to convince me to trust you?
We're clear in our privacy policy that we aren't retaining your search information because we want to, say, profile more about you. We're retaining, the search information we retain, we do for quality purposes. We review it only in aggregate. We do aggregate computations to try and understand how to make searches better. So, for example, if you search for football and click on result number 3, we want to use that information. So next time we take result number 3 and make it number 1. And so we have to have some retainage in that way in order to better the quality of the search experience you have on Google. So I think that, when you're asking questions of trust, a lot of times you're asking questions around motivation. The person that you're trusting, what are they motivated to do? And we've been pretty clear that our motivations in keeping the search information that we keep is, in fact, to improve end-user quality.
But does that require retaining it for an indefinite period of time? I mean, you could also
Sure.
retain it for like 30 days or...
Interestingly, we found that we've had some innovations that have required us to retain the information for longer than 30 days. So, for example, the Google spell checker, our Did You Mean feature that appears on Google, has been built using long periods of data around someone issuing a query and then issuing another corrected query right after that, and us learning those corrections. And it actually takes more than 30 days worth of data to build the world-class spell corrector that we have.
Google aren't being careful enough, I don't think, to anonymize information they store about you. They've said publicly that they do keep records of the search terms that come from your computer, linked to the internet address of your computer, and potentially that can be linked back to you, especially if you sign up for Google services like Gmail. So I don't think that they can honestly say that the potential isn't there for them to misuse some of this information. We've seen in recent months that it's not just Google's decision either. Even if Google was the entirely pure company that they claim, you have other interested parties. For example, the US government demanded last year that Google hand over information on what people were searching for. So even if Google aren't abusing personal information, that doesn't stop other people coming in and trying to get access to that information.
How can you take fears away? This is a big brother company.
I guess I just don't agree, and I don't think of it that way.